Well, hello and good afternoon, good early part of the evening. This is your host, Louis George Walker. You're listening to KUAW Radio, and this is the BFTAA and more show. Yes, I'm glad to join you today as we're moving into the month of February. This year is steadily rolling on us, and we're glad of it. I hope your team won in the Super Bowl. And our team wasn't even there, so I didn't have to worry about that part. But yes, we're glad to be here with you. The BFTAA and More show is a show that brings you information about technology and what's going on in our nonprofit. Also, a little bit of news of what else is happening in the world. So we like to give you the information that you may not get on other radio stations and throw in a few other facts here and there. So we thank you for tuning in today. This is the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. We came together with the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri, and formed a radio station called Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, KUAW. That's what you're listening to right now. And we're a growing internet radio station, and we're also a nonprofit that we do things to benefit our community, to give back into our community, and to help elevate the technology literacy and to bring different ideas to the forefront right here in our community. This organization was formed to help expand broadband adoption within the urban core, within the black community, because that digital divide has been getting too wide, and we don't want to close it. We want to eliminate the digital divide so that we can move forward into this digital society that we're in now. I know you may have your thoughts about that. Some people say it's not good, it's not bad, but I'm of the thought, and a lot of our organization is that digital is here, and it's here to stay, so we might as well make the best use of it, and that it can improve our standard of living. Using computers and technology is not something that is inherently bad or good. It's a tool in how we use it. So we're glad you're listening to the BFTAA and More show, and we're going to get to you with a lot of information today. Well, we got a little information today. I'm wrestling with a new computer, and so you know how things go with that. So I'm speaking to you right now from the backup computer, but I tell you, sometimes when you buy a new computer and you're trying to transfer all of your files and your programs over to the other one, I've been working on this yesterday and today, and still have a long way to go, but that's another part of the show, and we'll come to that later. We do want to talk a little bit today, though, about cybersecurity and the ways that you can help protect yourself and some of the things that criminals are using to get into your banking accounts, your personal information and stuff. So we'll bring that up a little bit, and we'll also talk about what's going on, as we usually do, at NASA. We've got some NASA updates that we want to bring you. The NASA, what's up this week at NASA, also Space to Ground, and we're going to have a little bit more information about the new James Webb telescope, which is the big thing that everybody's talking about right now. So before we go any further, let's go in right now to what's happening this week at NASA. All right, let me see if I've got the latest one here, and we'll start it now. Well, I say we'll start it now. Maybe not. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get that up for you here in just a minute. It's not giving me a file to start. So let me see if I can fix this as we speak right now. I've got to get I see what's wrong here. Put it in the wrong place. Okay. There's always fun to be had as you're working live right here on KUAW Radio. So like I say, I've been wrestling with a couple other things, and man, I tell you, it's got me a little discombobulated. Yeah, that's from the old Amos and Andy days here. But now let's see what's happening this week at NASA. Okay, come on.
Fine-tuning the James Webb Space Telescope, a different view of Venus, and the science on an upcoming space station resupply mission. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. The James Webb Space Telescope team is nearing completion of the first phase of the months-long process of aligning the observatory's primary mirror using the Near-Infrared Camera or NIRCam instrument. As planned, NIRCam has detected the first photons of starlight that traveled through the observatory and has identified starlight from the same star in each of Webb's 18 primary mirror segments. The result is this mosaic image released on February 11th that appears to be random dots of starlight, but is actually light from the same star reflected by Webb's unaligned mirror segments. This simple image of blurry starlight now becomes the foundation to align and focus the telescope so that it can deliver unprecedented views of the universe this summer. During recent flybys of Venus, our Parker Solar Probe captured its first visible light images of the Venusian surface taken from space. Some of the images, captured in wavelengths of the visible spectrum that human eyes can see, were used to create a video of the planet's entire night side. In the video, light and dark surface features can be seen, as well as glowing features in the planet's atmosphere. These images can help us learn more about the evolution of Venus, which has been referred to as Earth's twin. Our commercial partner Northrop Grumman is targeting February 19th for the launch of its next resupply mission to the International Space Station from our Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. More than 8,200 pounds of cargo will launch aboard the company's Cygnus cargo spacecraft. The science being delivered on the mission includes a study to evaluate the effects of a drug on breast and prostate cancer cells, an investigation that could potentially lead to products to protect aging skin, and a system to test techniques for hydroponic and aeroponic plant growth. This is the company's 17th resupply mission to the station for NASA. NASA's Investigation of Microphysics and Precipitation for Atlantic Coast Threatening Storms, or IMPACTS mission, is a multi-year airborne science campaign tracking snowstorms across the Midwest and eastern U.S. Data collected by a suite of instruments on a pair of NASA aircraft helps researchers determine how snowstorms develop, how much snow a storm will bring, and where the bulk of it will fall. The current campaign is the second deployment of IMPACTS and is scheduled to wrap up at the end of the month. Engineers at our Stennis Space Center conducted the second RS-25 engine hot fire test of 2022 on February 8th. 4 RS-25s will help power our Space Launch System rocket on future Artemis deep space missions, including this year's uncrewed Artemis 1 mission around the Moon. This was the third overall test in the current test series, which began in mid-December. Each test provides valuable data that can be used to help develop the engines. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/TWAN. The Webb Space Telescope.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what's going on this week at NASA, and we're glad that you're able to pick that up with us, and we're going to be excited to watch the orbit of another, what we want to say, not satellite, but another mission to circle the moon as they prepare to land on the moon. Now, we're going back to the moon, and I believe this time we're going up there and start doing some long duration stays on the moon, which is going to be a great thing. So it's really good to see that the space station, that they're doing a lot more experiments on it, and that we're planning for a mission to the moon, and hopefully at some point to establish a base there that we'll be able to use to go into Mars. All of that's going to require a whole lot of research, a whole lot of technology and science going on. And if you want to get involved in that, or want to get your young people involved in that, start studying and see about getting into one of the STEM fields that they may need. And it doesn't have to be rocket science or computers. I mean, they're going to need biologists. They're going to need a lot of different science people with different degrees of geology and all of that type, to go up and to really start doing research on the moon and even up on the space station. So that's something that we should be looking at, and it's going to be a lot of citizen astronauts that'll be going up there. So that's something that's coming in our future, and it's not too far off. So if you want to get involved, or your children to get involved, start taking them to planetariums. Go to NASA's site and download some of the files that they have for games and stuff that inspire kids towards space exploration or the sciences in general. That's a good thing. So yeah, we wanted to do that. And also, right now we're in Black History Month, and I wanted to play a little bit of Black history for us. We've been doing this on our radio station, the audio side, and we've been doing some video clips with Black history on them. I'm going to be working on some more for this week to get some more out. But we've got some Black history that were provided to us by another radio company or broadcast company. We're glad to partner with them, TNC Radio, and to bring you some Black history for this year. So here we go with an installment of the Black History Facts. Black History Month from KUAW and our partners to you.
We're shining a long overdue spotlight on the hidden figures of untaught history who deserve to be celebrated for their contributions to civil rights, politics, the arts, and beyond.
From the time European settlers began forcing Africans into slavery in the early 17th century American colonies, the enslavers stole more than just their freedom. Over the course of American slavery's nearly 250-year history, slaveholders took credit for their slaves' inventions, and as such, there's no way of knowing exactly how many, or in some cases, which creations should actually be credited to black inventors. While the law never explicitly prohibited black inventors from applying for patents, those born into slavery were not considered American citizens, and slave owners legally owned the fruits of the labor of the slave, both manual and intellectual. In 1821, Thomas L. Jennings, an emancipated slave, became the first African American to be granted a United States patent. His status as a freedman, and therefore a citizen, provided the loophole he needed to circumvent the suppression of enslaved ownership of their own intellectual property. Of the 57 patents, Elijah McCoy, reportedly the namesake for the popular complimentary phrase, "the real McCoy," received over his lifetime, the portable ironing board may be one of the most timeless. McCoy's also the man behind another major invention, the lawn sprinkler. Before Frederick McKinley Jones developed the automatic refrigeration equipment used in long-haul trucks transporting perishables in the late 1940s, the only way to keep food cold en route to delivery destinations was by using ice. Thanks to his invention, grocery stores were able to buy and sell products, many of which you probably purchase regularly, from far distances without the risk of them spoiling during transport. Jones' technology was also used to transport blood during World War II.
You're invited to celebrate Black History Month with TNCRadio.live.
Yeah, that's some good information, things we don't know, and sometimes we are not taught or even learn about or read about. So it's something that you need to bring up with your young people. And even as adults, we need to know this, because you can't pass on history or tell the young people about some things that you've never heard of. It's like the real McCoy. Now, if you're old as I am, back in the 60s, you remember there was a television show called The Real McCoys. And they were not African-American people, and it was set in a whole different format. But now, some people will say, oh, well, yeah, I heard about The Real McCoys. Well, that wasn't the original name, or that wasn't the way the name got famous. The Real McCoy got famous because of the inventor that they talked about, that had created 57 different patented inventions, including the lawn sprinkler. But he had an oiler that went on the trains that would self-lubricate moving parts. And people tried to copy it, but they never could get it as good as his. And they would always say, we want the real McCoy oiler. And that's where the term come from. The real McCoy was his oiling mechanism for keeping moving parts lubricated, and the real McCoy. So it wasn't about no TV show with Grandpappy and all of them, but it was about African American who had invented a product that was very much in need, and that was so well made and known that people asked for it and said they wanted the real McCoy, not a substitute for it. And then to say the same person invented the lawn sprinkler, keeping your grass, keeping your lawn looking nice and stuff. So we have a lot of people that have done inventions, and some of them will never get recognized because we don't know. It wasn't given to them as their name, that if they happened to be a slave at that time, if they were in bondage, then their master could take credit for it and claim it legally as his invention and make money off of it and patent it and go with it. And if you listen to some of the Black History moments that we put out last week, you may have heard of Nesmith, the guy behind Jack Daniel's whiskey, who was the master distiller of it. That family went unrecognized around the world. Some people knew about it in Tennessee, but they're just now been getting the recognition that they need, and they're actually are distilling a whiskey that is in Uncle Nearest. Uncle Nearest is the name of it, that is now being distilled and is run by a black-owned company. But, Jack Daniels for years didn't go around saying who had helped them to define or to make the best whiskey that they have, which is Tennessee whiskey was a whole different flavor, a whole different whiskey than other whiskeys. But that was from an African American. So those are things that sometimes we don't hear, sometimes we don't know, and we do need to know about it. So before we go any further right now, I want to go back to NASA, and this is a show called Space to Ground, so we'll bring you a little bit more information from them, and let's cue that up right now.
Houston Station on Space to Ground. Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Kayla LaFrance. This week, the crew on the International Space Station remained focused on science while awaiting new arrivals. Roscosmos will be launching the uncrewed Progress 80 mission to the orbiting outpost. The Progress MS-19 cargo spacecraft is set to launch on Monday, February 14th from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Progress spacecraft will then spend the next few days in orbit, catching up to the space station where it will dock on Thursday, February 17th at 2 a.m. Eastern. Progress MS-19 will automatically dock to the Zenith port of the Poisk module. It is currently planned to stay docked for 196 days, supporting both Expedition 66 and Expedition 67 missions aboard the ISS. This week on board the orbiting laboratory, Matthias Maurer teamed up with his crewmate Mark Vandehei to work on the European Space Agency's experiment to develop acoustic tweezers. The duo conducted several experiment scenarios for the ultrasonic tweezer experiment to evaluate the possibility of trapping various objects, either single objects or multiple objects, in the acoustic field. The objective of the ultrasonic tweezer project is to develop acoustic tweezers that use sound to allow for remote and contactless manipulation of materials in a microgravity environment. In the experiment, an ultrasound beam is shaped so that it produces a trap from which an object cannot easily exit. By moving the beam, the object can be moved to a new position with very good precision. It will not be long before we see new faces join our crew on the space station, with 2 missions in final stages of preparation. NASA and its international partners approved the crew members for Axiom Space's first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. The flight, called Axiom Mission 1, is targeted to launch Wednesday, March 30th from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center, Florida. The crew of 4 will fly on SpaceX Crew Dragon Endeavour to the space station. After 10 days in orbit, the Axiom 1 crew will splash down off the coast of Florida. NASA and SpaceX has also confirmed that they are still targeting launch of the Crew 4 mission to the ISS for Friday, April 15th. NASA astronauts Kjell Lindgren, Robert Hines, and Jessica Watkins, as well as ESA astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, will launch on board a new Crew Dragon capsule and dock with the space station for their 180-day mission. And that's Space to Ground for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
All right, all right. Yeah, that was Space to Ground. Sorry about the low volume that it had on there. There's a little bit of sound problems with it, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on in outer space that we need to be staying up on. Yeah, sometimes some of these links don't seem to bring in the quality that we want, but we're going to keep working with it and we're going to make it better. Also want to let you know at this time that if you have a podcast or know someone that does and they want to grow their audience, that they can bring their podcast, their video or audio podcast over to KUAW Radio. We'll also broadcast them. We can put them on a weekly or monthly broadcast, whatever they want. But we'd like to work with local or even regional podcasters, and we'll help expand your audience. So contact KUAW Radio if you'd like to bring your podcast to KUAW. We'd love to hear from you. Now, the things that we do want, we want them to be clean. We don't want any profanity on our radio station. But other than that, if you have a good topic, be it political or community or education, whatever you would like to talk about, we want to bring that on. So join the KUAW family. We're going to be rolling out a big advertising blitz come the 1st of March that we're hoping to blow this station up even more than it is right now so that we can increase our online listenership, our subscribers on YouTube and Facebook, also our views on Twitter and Twitch. So if you want to be a part of a radio station that's on the internet around the world, contact KUAW Radio. Yeah, we're ready to do it. You can join us at any time, but send an email or text or put something in Facebook. Get in touch with us. You can get us on Facebook. We're at KUAW-radio. So you can get there. You can send us an instant message or anything from that site. That would be good. Also, you can contact us on our email. We're at KUAW985@gmail.com. So KUAW985@gmail.com. So get in touch with us. We'd love to add your podcast, your video blog to the KUAW lineup. So let us know about that. We got some real good rates and things that will make this possible for you. We've got a new show that's starting up Thursday, matter of fact, right here. We've got another new show. So we'd like for you to be a part of that. And we're getting ready, as I said, there's going to be a big advertising campaign, online mainly, but we may get some print ads for KUAW Radio, our shows and our podcasts. So want you to stay tuned and be ready to jump in on that as it moves forward. KUAW Radio has been around for over 5 years now. We continue to grow. We continue to do exciting things. Now, another thing that we want to do is give you a little bit of information. I was looking at an article, and we know that cybersecurity is something that we all need to stay up on. And there was information that we should be paying attention to about the increasing use, and this comes from Tech Republic by Mr. Brian Stone, and this is about our security, but it says the FBI has admit criminals are escalating SIM swap attacks to steal millions of dollars. So the SIM is that little chip that's in your car, in your phone, that identifies that phone as your phone and to you, and that all of your contact information or the sale company that you're working with and stuff is all on the SIM. And now criminals are starting to do some STEM. I'll get this together. SIM swap thefts. Let's see what happened now. It just disappeared off of my screen as I started talking to you guys. Let's see. We closed that inadvertently, but we'll get it back up, get the information to you, because that is from Tech Republic. We know where it's at, and we're going to get back to it. I tell you, working from a laptop's keyboard is just not the same as working from my other keyboards. I should have plugged a large keyboard into this so that I could work with it easier, because I tell you, as I try to do this show and working from this little keyboard here, it's interesting. I'll put it that way. That may be the best way for me to put it. But yeah, we were talking about that SIM swaps. Yes, SIM swap attacks. Man, I tell you, gonna have to practice saying that 3 times real fast. SIM swap attacks. Yeah, you try it. Okay. But the federal agency, FBI, says hundreds of victims have lost money due to scams over a 2-year span. Yeah, as ransomware continues to be an ongoing problem, which we all have heard about that, with protecting users' data, there is a cell phone scam the public needs to be aware of as well. The FBI says criminals have escalated SIM card swap attacks to hijack victims' phone numbers and steal millions of dollars from fiat and virtual currency accounts. The FBI reports that from January 2018 to December 2020, the Internet Crime Complaint Center received over 320 complaints related to SIM swapping scams, with damages totaling $12 million altogether. So when people wonder what the consequences of these large-scale data breaches are, this is exactly it. So, you hear at times where some big insurance company, some retail store or something, there was a breach and a lot of stuff got stolen. Well, this is how it gets roundabout used, even if they don't come right from that information that they got then at that store. They may not use your store charge account or something like that for it, but it's from getting a lot of that information. Now, Chris Clements, the VP of Solutions Architect at Cerberus Sentinel, says both people and companies have become conditioned to be able to verify identity through simple questions like social security number or mother's maiden name. Unfortunately, this falls apart completely when data breaches affecting millions of people routinely occur. Now, information that was previously assumed to be relatively private is in the hands of malicious parties who can leverage it to easily impersonate their victims. So, they break into the store's database where you had your credit card, where you did all your shopping. They don't use your credit card or anything, but they look at the security questions that were put in. Sometimes that's not as guarded as your account number, and it's like, what's your mother's maiden name? And that's asked a lot of times as one of the questions to get a new password or things like that for security. Well, if they can match that up with you, then they can try other accounts that you may have to change a password to get into your account by knowing some of those questions, knowing what was the first car you ever owned, what was your pet's name, those type of things. That information may be in somebody's hands because of all these data breaches. So we worry about, did they get my credit card number or they get my social security card number to impersonate me? But no, they may have gotten some other information that helps them with impersonating you. So you want to know what is SIM swapping? SIM swapping is a scam in which malicious parties target cell phone carriers to gain access to victims' bank accounts, virtual currency accounts, and additional sensitive information by using social engineering, insider threat, or phishing techniques. Social engineering involves a criminal to impersonate the victim's mobile number by tricking the cell phone carrier into switching the victim's mobile number to a SIM card that is in the criminal's possession, allowing the malicious party now to access the victim's calls, their texts, and other data. But this is only one of the 3 methods used to steal phones from victims' accounts. So that's something they can do. They get your phone number. If they know the password, they don't have to know the password. If they try the password and say, I want to change it, and they know some of your information, as, like I said, your mother's maiden name. I know I've used that a lot on different accounts, what was your first car, what was the school you graduated from. But if they know those answers, then all of a sudden they can get in, they get a password, they're accepted, they've become you. And they can change the mobile number to a SIM card that they've got. And now people think they're calling to you, or the banks think they're dealing with you, and they're not. They're dealing with somebody else. So these are things that we have to be careful of, and we have to sometimes do a little extra security. Insider threat takes place when a criminal actor pays off a mobile carrier employee to switch the victim's SIM to a card currently in the criminal's possession. That can happen. Malicious parties can also employ phishing techniques to access victim-sensitive data and steal funds. And they do that through, faking to be PayPal, faking to be your bank or something, and saying we need some information to do something to your account, and you send it. This level of access to a victim's cell data allows a malicious party to entry to everything from text messages, verification, to SMS-based two-factor authentication to exploit victim-sensitive information. So now they can even, if they say they're going to send you a text to make sure it's you've got that two-way verification. Well, if they send the text, they're sending that text to the person that's already impersonating you's phone, and they can go ahead and answer it. So there's ways that they can get around even that. So there's things that can be done, and some of it may make it a little bit harder for you to validate who you are. You may have to jump through a few more hoops, but if you're protecting your money, that may be something to think about. Is that service providers must move from more simplistic means of validating identity to more sophisticated ones. Clemens said, PIN codes unique to each user's account can be one way of adding additional security to the process, giving you a PIN. And out-of-wallet questions are another alternative that works by verifying much harder to compromise information, such as what was your last 3 home addresses or the last 3 cars that you own, things like that are not the regular ones that are asked all the time. Because you have to maybe keep changing that too to make it, still harder. It may be more of a hassle for everyone, but it's simply no longer viable to rely on information that has been routinely compromised to validate a person's identity. Now, what can you do to protect yourself? Okay, the FBI encourages both cell phone users and companies to provide service to take additional security measures in protecting their personal information. For cell phone users, the agency says the following things. Do not advertise information about financial assets, including ownership or investment of cryptocurrency on social media websites and forums. Don't put that out there. Do not provide your mobile number account information over the phone to representatives that request your account password or PIN. Verify the call first by dialing the customer service line of your mobile carrier. Talk to them. If it's a call that somebody else originated, you want to stop and say, wait a minute, let me call the company myself and find out about this. Avoid posting personal information online, such as your mobile phone number, your address, or other personal identifying information. Use a variation of unique passwords to access online accounts. Be aware of any changes in SMS, that's your texts, SMS-based connectivity. So if things start happening funny with your text and stuff, it's something to start looking at. Use strong multi-factor authentication methods such as biometrics, which is like your fingerprints or your retina, physical security tokens, something that you carry in your pocket that the number changes on a lot and it's not connected to your phone, or standalone authentication applications to access online accounts. Now this is one. Do not store passwords, usernames, or other information for easy log on or log in on your mobile devices and applications. So they say don't do that. You know how Google and a lot of them, now I've been guilty of some of that, so I'm going to have to go in there and clean some of that out. But it's like, do you want Google to keep your password? Uh-oh, my volume changed. All right, well, we're still up there. Looks like we're going out right. Okay, but do not, and thank you for that, saying that my volume may be off, but yeah, I don't see it showing that I'm going out okay. You never know on these things, though. Let me see. Yeah, okay, the stream says it's going out, so we'll work with it from there. So, those Okay. All right. We want to thank you and stuff for listening. I'm being told that my volume is off, but it's nothing I can do about that right now. So we'll have to listen to me without the volume because I can't dig in there and see what's going on. It sounds like it's on. It sounds like it's on. It sounds like it's on. Yep. So I hear it on the stream like it's going out there. We'll have to fight that later. So if you're not picking me up, I'm sorry. We'll have to keep going with what we're doing the best way we can do it right now. And that's all we can go by is trying to get out what we can the way we can. It's not always easy, but hey, it's the best that we've got right now. Let's see what it's showing over here. And thank you for being patient. Hang in there. Mike Ox. Okay, let's see if that makes a difference. Hey, that sounds a little loud. Okay. We coming in on something else. All right. A few technical difficulties going on right now. Not sure exactly what's happening. So we want to thank you for joining us. We will be looking at it and seeing what we can do in the future. Take care. That's all we'll do for today. Be safe. Try and stay secure online as best you can. This is George Walker for the BFTAA and More Show saying thank you for joining me. We'll see you again next Monday. Have a great day.